Hello and welcome, hopefully, to the beginning of an epic health journey for you. Now, when you're taking any journey, there are two things you really need to know before you can map and plan your journey. And that is knowing where you're going, which we will get to in another video, and which is maybe more surprisingly easy and stroke difficult and more outrageous than you think. But more importantly, you've got to know where you are before you can map to where you're going to. So it's very important to take an assessment of yourself in a number of different ways when you're looking at the whole of health and wellness. It's not just about symptoms. Now, there are questionnaires that you can take, looking at your symptoms, looking at your stress levels. Something that I use is the Braverman Nature Assessment, which really goes into, well, how your brain chemicals are balanced according to your symptoms and how your thoughts and feelings are interacting with the world. There are mineral questionnaires, nutrition questionnaires, symptom questionnaires, life fitness questionnaires. I will put links to all of these probably in a Facebook group, which I'll put a link below the video or around the video as soon as I've done that. And then there is something called the Life Wheel, which is looking at, which is again, you're scoring yourself out of 10 out of how well you're doing as regards to fitness, how well you're doing with relationships, with your family, with finances, with work, and trying to get an overall balance to everything. And that's another good self-assessment tool to use. It's also important to a certain degree to do things like, well, measure your weight. It's good to do all of these things, measure your weight, good to invest in a pair of scales that can give you your body fat percentage and your muscle mass. Now, they're not 100% accurate, but you can use them as a really good guide, and they're not that expensive. You can get them off Amazon for 40–50 quid. If you really want to get really accurate with body fat, then you can get some calipers and you measure millimeters of fat all over different parts of your body, and that can help. That can also help you a little bit more with diet and nutrition, because there's something called metabolic typing and metabolic training as well. That's another good questionnaire, actually, the metabolic type questionnaire, because that can help determine when are the best times to eat for you, and also what types of foods you should be eating more or less of. So there's all of these questionnaires. You can also do things like have your blood pressure taken, look at your cholesterol levels, something called homocysteine as well. That's a really good indicator of overall health. But more important than the blood test, there are three things that are really quite simple to check and do that are more of a predictor of your overall, well, your ability to be alive in another next 10 to 15 years than the blood test. And that's three simple tests you can do yourself to an extent. One is, how long can you balance on one leg for? Ideally you want this to be at least 20 seconds, and ideally with your eyes closed as well, but please don't try this at home unless you've got someone there to stabilise you. And then there's how many squats you can do in a minute, very important test of overall strength. And also there's your hand grip strength. Now, your grip strength is so important because you need your grip to do things like if you're a hunter-gatherer to hunt and gather foods. And so your body will actually get rid of other parts of itself. It will actually break down other areas to make sure that the muscles in your hand stay strong and functioning well. So if your hand grip strength is going, it's a pretty good indicator that everything else is failing. So try and test your hand grip strength, see how strong that is. There are various devices you can buy online, some very simple cheap ones. They're not massively accurate, but at least they'll be accurate for you, because you'll be able to see if you're getting stronger over time. So those three things are really good to get. Now, one book that I'd really advise you get as well, because it's got some of the questionnaires in that I really like to use, and it also helps you analyse how healthy you are and what sort of level of exercise you should be doing. Because really it's important to get diet, nutrition and other core aspects of your health working really well for you before you exercise heavily. That's one of the common mistakes people make when they exercise. They exercise before they're healthy enough to do it. It's called How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy. There you go, so you know what it looks like, by Paul Chek. It also goes into different exercises for body parts where you may have certain more needs to exercise, and that just comes from also different areas of stress, your posture, the kinds of bodily symptoms you have that you may not think are related to different zones of the body. So it's a really good book. I really strongly suggest you get that. I'll put a link to that and you can get it on Amazon. Okay, well, I hope that's been useful. Hopefully I'll see you inside the Facebook group when I get it done, and I'll probably build a proper forum for it as well, offline as well. Okay, bye for now. Technology.